1-point game. 53-52.
This is the big one, obviously.
It is on its way. No good. Rebound batted up in the air. Still there. Williams gets it. Puts up the shot. No! He missed it. The Slayers of Division II state champion. Holy moly. He looked like he was going to make that.
And that's the way the game ended the other day, the state championship game. The call by Rick Gecky and Brian Hill as Fairhaven won another state title, a second in 3 years. And it went right to the wire against Montpelier. And we have Coach Bob Pronovost, assistant coach Luke Vadnais, which is the correct pronunciation. Vadnais in hockey, but Vadnais in basketball. And Aubrey, and also Sawyer Ramey, and also Colby Murray. And thanks, guys, for taking time out. And this is a long trip from Fairhaven, the round trip over there. But we appreciate the fact that you guys came in. And congratulations, state champs again. And Bob, another state championship. And this one was right to the wire. We just heard the clip of the last second or two. Let me ask you. Now, I did, even though I wasn't there personally, I did see you guys play a couple of times. When I saw the clip on TV, to me, and we just heard the clip there, it did look like it was going to go in.
Jack, one bounce, and we could be talking a different story right now, but heartfelt. Our heart stopped about 3 times until the ball came down. I saw Sawyer running towards us. It was over with, but it was very, very close.
I'm getting chills of thinking of that, Sawyer. Of course, the Sawyer and Aubrey are your grandsons. Your son-in-law, Eric Ramey, who was the softball coach at Castleton. And I saw Sawyer run over, and you guys gave each other a hug and all that. And then Sawyer joined the rest of his teammates. So you remembered your granddad first before joining your teammates, right?
Yeah.
And Sawyer's just a freshman. We'll get to these guys in just a second. But I did see Joey Gannon the next day. Joey Gannon, who was also on the Shrine football team. Joey hit the shot that put you ahead by 2, and then the guy hit the first one, and that was the second shot that missed. And we did get into that. It looked like, here you are. You have the position on the free throw line, the lane and everything, but it took a high bounce. And Joey Aubrey explained that it was too far away from him, but he at least in his description the other day said that he kind of pushed you into the traffic or something. Did that happen? Is that the way you remember it?
I'll be honest with you. I can't really remember much of that game. It was such chaos at the end of that.
Oh, it was. Bob, I did see you guys play a couple of times, and you won them all. You lost to Mill River by 3, but you returned I guess, what was it, about a week later, where you beat them with relative ease and so forth, and on to the playoffs you went. And, you're the number 1 seed, but it was a special team because more than once, Bob, you said about how much all these guys loved each other, really. And I know that's sometimes coaches say that, but this was special, wasn't it?
Well, I've been doing this for 45 years, and this is the most unselfish team that I've ever had. They totally liked each other. They shared the ball all the time. They've always found the open man. They always made the extra pass. We do work on it in practice, but this is in their heart and soul. What they do, what they accomplished.
And what were the thoughts after you did lose the game to Mill River? Obviously, you knew the game, the season wasn't over at that time. You'd like to think, if you're going to lose, that's the time to lose. That's certainly during the season, not during the playoffs.
Well, I think Jack Rogers exposed us a little bit into certain things that we had to work on. And we went back into the gym and, worked hard and got a little bit better at it. So you need that once in a while during the season. Find out where your weaknesses are.
So let's introduce the 3 guys. We've already heard from a couple. We have Colby Murray and Colby and, again, Sawyer Ramey and Aubrey Ramey. And Coach Luke Vadnais, we'll get to Luke here in just a second. But Colby, I know that we just mentioned both Colby and Sawyer are the Dream Dozen underclassmen who will be honored at Windsor. But your thoughts as you look back on this. I know one of those games you led the way you had 30. That was another thing, Bob. I know that's said a lot, total team effort, but everybody seemed to come, to the forefront. I mean, be you, Colby, or Sawyer, or Aubrey, or others on the team, Joey Gannon. One of those games, I know in the postseason you scored 30, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on going in against Montpelier? How much did you guys know about Montpelier going in?
We knew all their strengths pretty much. We knew what they had, so we just tried to take those away.
And you guys were aware Montpelier played Rice earlier in the year, had an 18-point lead against them, and eventually lost by 3. And Rice, as we all know, won the D1 championship. So the coach did say, hey, this is a team you can't, another cliche, Bob, you can't take lightly going in, obviously.
Yeah, we can't.
But you won, and that's all that counts.
Yeah.
Thanks, go. And you're a junior, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll talk to Sawyer, who's a freshman.
Yep.
Yeah, and I saw you a few times. People around the state were well aware of obviously all these guys, but the freshmen, I know you played football as well, and but you got a hold. You got the keys to the team as a freshman. Just how you felt from day one.
I was pretty comfortable coming right into it. I've been around the program for most of my life, so I kind of knew what to expect with the level that I was getting into, and it wasn't too hard of a transition. I actually surprised myself in a way. I figured it'd be a little tougher, but it wasn't that bad.
Well, you did a heck of a job. You ran the club for the most part as a freshman. Had the keys to the team, as we mentioned, and a lot of people certainly were aware. If they're not aware now, they will be, but they were aware of what you did during the course of the season. What was it like? I mentioned it, I touched upon it, but I did notice it. Right away, you hugged your granddad over here. Then you joined your teammates.
Yeah. I actually hugged my dad right away.
Oh, your dad first. Yeah, well, of course, can't forget Dad. Yeah, Dad did come out there. Dad walked out there, by the way, like, oh, yeah, we had him all the way. We won by 50, you know.
Yep. So after I hugged my dad, he told me, go hug your grandfather. So I went over there, and it was a special moment. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a special moment, and then you joined your teammates. We might add, I mentioned your dad, of course, is the softball coach at Castleton, and they were on a spring trip down to Myrtle Beach. As a matter of fact, I asked you, Bob. He missed a couple of games, right? He was obviously there for the championship. So that must have, I know he wanted to be with his team and all that, but yet on the other hand, this is family. It must have been, how much did you have a contact with him during the time he was gone?
Every night we were calling him, and he was still coaching from Myrtle Beach, so he was still a big help for that process. That's
nice. And here's older brother Aubrey, who's a senior, and Aubrey's used to state championship teams. You were the guy on the mound when you won it all in baseball, right?
Yep.
Was that 1-0? What was the final score in that?
3-1.
3-1. And I know I saw your dad that day because if I'm not mistaken, that was the day of some of the softball championships too, or at Castleton, and of course he had to do that, but he drove up and watched you. So, you know what it's like to win close ones and championships anyway.
Yep, the one we won my sophomore year for basketball.
That's right.
It was a matter of one possession, and baseball was right down to the wire again. Came down to the last inning, didn't last outs, and this one, of course, was right down to the wire. So it's becoming a habit to win these close ones at the end, which is the ones that matter the most.
Yeah, I say this to all the coaches that have won multiple championships. It never gets old, though, does it?
Never gets
all
old.
The players. And we're talking to Aubrey Ramey, Sawyer Ramey, and also to Colby Murray and to Bob Prenovost from Fairhaven, the Division II state champs in boys basketball, and Luke Vadnais as well. This morning on the Proctor Gas Morning Show. You were part of that team. 2 years ago, you won by 2 against Milton, the team that you played the other day. It was in that was the quarterfinals, right? The victory against Milton, which you pretty much had your own way that night. But
yep, we were lucky throughout the playoffs to be able to handle our own up to the state championship game, and then when it got tough, we were able to persevere through.
Now, pitchers and catchers report when?
Monday.
Yeah, Monday. So you're right back at it in the gym and everything.
Yeah, we're ready to get at it again.
And another season.
Yep.
And again, and what was it like? I know you played for your granddad for a couple of. Same question I asked Sawyer. Obviously, playing for your granddad, who was a legend, by the way. You might not know already, Bob Prenovost, but kind of special.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Going out on top my senior year, winning it with there's just a team in particular, which is such a special team to be a part of. It was so much fun. There's no drama on the team at all, and we were one team and we were together the entire time, and just that whole self is just special.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, Your granddad did mention that many times. He's already mentioned it here. Because you guys went back and practiced on your own and all that stuff, right? How much do you guys go 1-on-1 in the backyard? You got a basket in the driveway or something?
Yeah, he's always used to getting beat to me, so.
Yeah. Well, you're a little bit. We might add that Aubrey's a little bit taller than Sawyer, right? I know you're 5'8", right?
5'9".
5'9", and Colby's about 5'8", 5'9" as well. How tall are you, Aubrey?
6'1".
6'1", so a little bit of a height advantage there, but I don't think you're through growing yet.
No.
As a freshman. We might add that Bob Prenobos' class of 65 at Rutland High, because one of your classmates called, John Bisco, who wished you the best, and congratulations. Another guy is Steve Merrill. He didn't call yet today, but he calls us several times, but he's also a classmate. And Ray Mooney is a classmate of yours. That class of 65 at Rutland High is some class.
Another name for the past. Listen, Jack, while I've got you, we got to talk about one other guard that's not here today.
Yeah, I want you to mention the other guys.
Zach Ellis.
Yes,
Zach Ellis was instrumental
terrific.
in our season this year. Whenever Colby would have a bad night or didn't score a lot, Zach would score. In fact, Zach might have led us in scoring for the whole year. And, I just wanted to throw his name out.
I want you to mention the rest of the players. You're right. I didn't mean to leave that. We talked about Joey Gannon, who I had an opportunity to see the other day. He's also on the Shrine team. But, because Zach, I think the night I was there for the quarterfinal, if I'm not mistaken, I think Zach might have led the team in scoring that night. That's what I meant about, a different guy. I know a lot of times coaches and people say that, a different guy every night, but it literally is true, isn't it?
We actually had 7 different guys lead us in scoring.
Did you really, Luke? Name the rest of the guys on the team. I don't want to leave anybody out. The Division II state champs from Fairhaven. Go ahead, Luke. Yeah. If you can remember them off, I'm sure you can.
Sam Manley.
Oh, yeah. Just a quick thing about Sam. I was at the MSJ game, and you guys had a lot of the one at MSJ, and you guys had a lot of fans there. And Sam came in and hit like 3 or 4 threes, and the fans absolutely went nuts.
Honestly, Sam's one of the better shooters probably in the state. He could really shoot the ball, and the crowd loved to see him.
Yeah, he was a crowd favorite for sure.
Owen Lahan, Evan Reed, Reese Hadaka, Colby Baldwin, Aiden Spears, Matt Sorrow.
Andrew Lanthier.
Yeah,
Andrew Lanthier. Obviously, Andrew, our 6th man. He was awesome all year long and great in the playoffs in Uppenberry. Andrew was really instrumental part of our team.
And he's a baseball player, too.
And football, yep.
Yeah. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
A cool stat from our championship game that kind of illustrates who we were. We had 22 made field goals, and 18 of them were assisted.
Wow.
Usually in a good game you get 50%, but we had over 80% of our field goals were assisted, and that was the way we played all year. Everybody made the extra pass, and just a really unselfish group of kids.
That's terrific. You mentioned Owen Lahan. His dad played on a championship team at West Rutland, right? Pat Jr., Pat Lahan, who played for Jack Rogers, by the way. That gives you the symmetry there. Jack Rogers is now in Mill River, and he had the championship team at West Rutland in 95.
Small world, Jack.
Yeah, it is a small world. And, again, we're talking to the Division II state champs. Now, back to Luke. Now, Luke is a Celtics fan. He's a Celtics season ticket holder. Were you at the Utah game, by the way, recently?
No, I wasn't.
I hope you didn't shake hands with Rudy Gobert. But okay, so we all know, at least right now, they've canceled the season for a while, or, hopefully temporarily. What did they tell? When I saw Luke after the game against Milton, he was going to go the next day. That was the one against Houston that they lost by a point, right? If you remember
correctly. It was OKC, actually.
Okay.
That they lost by a point. I didn't end up going. I was a little tired.
Oh, you didn't go the next day. Okay. Anyway, you're a season ticket holder. What did the Celtics told?
I haven't heard anything yet. They just put it on hiatus last night. I haven't seen anything yet. I'm sure they'll let everybody know what they're doing.
And this is another thing, because Judy's familiar with the show, Felger and Maz, that we get in the afternoon. You know Luke from Vermont that calls every once in a while?
Yeah.
This is Luke.
Oh, nice to meet you, Luke.
Luke from Vermont. You guys ever hear that show, Felger and Maz? Do you hear what he calls up sometimes?
Yep. Well, that's awesome. I can put a face to it now, yeah.
Luke Cavanis. Oh, guys, it's special. Once you're a champion, you're always a champion, and
these guys earned it, though. They worked so hard. They would, Sawyer and Kobe and Zach Ellis specifically, they'd be in shooting at 6 a.m. all the time, and these guys couldn't get enough of the gym. But the team as a whole just worked so hard every night.
And you guys are all going to be up there on Saturday, I assume, supporting the girls' team, which, of course, they're in the championship, looking for the double at Fairhaven. So best of luck to them as well.
Yep.
Am I leaving anything out here? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to give a shout out to our managers.
Oh, sure.
Josh Hansen, that first came from Castleton, is originally from Brattleboro. He was a huge help for us this year, working with our bigs and everything. Also having Damon Morris and Mark Fitzgerald on the sidelines. And Joey Na, our film guy, who was absolutely spectacular throughout the season filming for us. Those guys are the little guys, but you never take them for granted. They had just as much of an impact on the season as we do playing, and they were instrumental to us.
All right. And, Aubrey, I didn't ask, what are your future plans?
I'm going to Castleton next year to play baseball.
You are? Good for you. All right. For Coach Shipley over at Castleton.
Yep,
That's
looking
great.
Forward to it.
All right. I know you'll do a great job there. I know Bob gets sick and tired of me bringing this up, but Bob, you taught school at Whitehall like in 1973 or so, right?
I was there from 77 to 2002.
Oh, okay. When did Bob was mentioned in Sports Illustrated, which I'm thrilled, number one, because I go, wow, there's Bob Pernobos in Sports Illustrated in this particular article, and of course I've always been jealous because I've always wanted to be in Sports Illustrated. But I know it was a story in Sports Illustrated about the football
Whitehall
team.
Football,
Whitehall
tradition for probably 50 years in New York State, and they did a story on us, and I was asked to give a few opinions, and it was exciting.
Yeah, I go to Bob. I said, "Gee, Bob, you're in Sports Illustrated." Well, it was a line or two. I said, "Well, that was good enough." That's good. And then, the writer, he went to Whitehall. He was a member of that team, right?
Yes.
I can't think of his name myself. I can't think of his name. Well, you were class of '65, so that happens once in a while. No, but
it's called old age, Jack. 73, yes.
And I have to say this on a personal note. I've said it to Bob 1,000 times. He taught at Whitehall, even though he's from Rutland and so forth, about the birthplace of the U.S. Navy. I know that if you bring this up in history class, fellas, believe me, if your teacher says it's wrong, you come to see me because being from the North Shore of Boston, it's Beverly, Mass., but that's okay. But in the article about the Whitehall football team in 73, the author, who's from Whitehall, said that a lot of people feel that Whitehall is the birthplace of the Navy, but there are other towns that claim it to be.
Absolutely.
So anyway, just tell in the history class or whatever, tell them that there's more than one birthplace of the U.S. Navy. But hey, Aubrey, Sawyer, and Colby, congratulations again, and Luke, and hope you get to watch another NBA game this year, Luke. And to you, Bob, another state champion. This is number 7 for the Fairhaven boys. 2 of the last 3 years, and you're a big part of it, Coach.
Thank you very much for having us, Jack.
It was
really
a blast.
Appreciate it.
It was a blast. Thanks, fellas. Thank you.
Thank you.